Hey, it's Layla. Welcome back to Living in Oxford. I'm a Michigan realtor bringing you local things to do in and around Oxford and keeping you up to date on the Oxford real estate market and the surrounding area. Today, we're going to just talk about a topic that applies anywhere here in Michigan and probably throughout the United States. And that is the final walkthrough. So, when you are purchasing a home or when you're selling a home and we've gotten all the way through the transaction and we're ready for closing day, about 24 to 48 hours before the actual closing, what's going to happen is a final walkthrough. What does that mean? Well, what happens is the buyer has the opportunity to come back to the house and walk the property. Because remember, it's probably been 20 days, maybe even 30 days since the buyer has last walked the property. They probably haven't been there since the home inspection, which happened in the first 5 to 7 days of being under contract. And so they're about to wire or bring in a cashier's check for all this money. They're about to sign documents to get a big mortgage on the property. And they want to make sure the house is still there. They also want to make sure the house looks like what it looked like when they saw it the last time. They want to make sure what they're purchasing is actually what they're purchasing. So the final walkthrough will be scheduled. Sometimes it's scheduled a few days in advance, but always within 24 to 48 hours of closing. And what will happen is the sellers, you will leave the house. You're probably, if it's the day of closing, maybe you've already packed up everything and you're going to be at the title office signing your paperwork. Or maybe you're just running out for an hour so the buyers can come do their final walkthrough. Please do not be home during the final walkthrough. That's really awkward for people to be walking through the house and you're there. So what will happen? Sellers, you'll leave. Buyers will come there. They will meet the buyer's agent at the house. The buyer's agent, of course, will have whatever the entry source is to get into the house. And then they're going to walk through the property. And now what we're looking for during a final walkthrough is one, that the house is still there. It hasn't had a hurricane or a tornado or a windstorm or a hailstorm come through and do some damage on the exterior of the home. The basement hasn't flooded. Things that are supposed to be left at the house are like furniture, if that was part of your negotiations, appliances, that's a very typical thing, and appliances should be the same appliances that were there when the buyer saw the property. Now, believe it or not, sellers do try and bait and switch and take their like really nice refrigerator and replace it with a crappy one, or they are in love with their washer and dryer and they try and slip it in a different one. So we're looking to make sure that what was there when we saw it and we offered on the property is still there. We're also looking for things like, hey, seller, when you were moving out, did you take a door jamb off the front door so you could get your couch through it and not put it back on? Or did you get pissed off and your kid punched a hole in the wall like silly boys do? Or were you moving something and it put a big hole in the wall? So those are all the things we're going to come and look for in the final walkthrough. Now, things that are okay is like it's normal wear and tear. You know, if you already had a hole in the wall, you already had a hole in the wall, and it shouldn't be a problem unless you were supposed to fix it per the closing, then those type of things. So other things we're looking for are repairs. So if the seller, you were supposed to make repairs based off our inspection, then this is the time the buyer gets to come back and inspect the repairs and make sure the repairs are good to go. Other things we look for at the final walkthrough, we just make sure that, you know, the flooring that was supposed to be there is still there. We make sure that you've taken all of your belongings with you. Like if you're moving out and we're getting keys at close, we want to make sure that you've actually taken all of your belongings. Believe it or not, sometimes people just leave their crap behind, and that's not okay. So if you leave your crap behind and you've got a security deposit, an escrow damage deposit being held by a title company, the buyer will be requesting money back because now they have to get a dumpster and throw away all of your crap. They have to hire movers to put it into the dumpster. They have to hire people to fix things that you did. So you don't get off scot-free if you are taking these appliances or you're putting holes in the wall or whatever. The buyer can say the house is not in as-is condition, and they can say, whoa, until it's fixed, I'm not closing. So those are all the things we're looking at for the final walkthrough. If you have any questions or you have any funny stories as a realtor or buyer or seller about final walkthroughs, make sure you leave those down below. And I'm going to leave with you a little bit of a mind blower here. I was just talking to another realtor. I'm in the middle of doing a transaction with them, And I'm scheduling the final walkthrough, and then we're laughing and talking about all the things we've seen at final walkthroughs that we've had to negotiate our way through. This one takes the cake, and I wonder if you guys can top this off. They had someone leave behind an animal, a dog to be exact. Said that they were coming back to get their dog, and they just didn't want to leave their dog in the car during the closing process, and they just left the dog and never came back for it. That I cannot believe. And it didn't turn out that the family and became a great family dog. So please, I do love animals and I have dogs. So this is not a sad animal story by any means, but it was just so mind blowing. I can't believe someone would leave their pet behind. Yeah. So anyways, leave a comment down below if you can top that one off, or if you just have something really crazy that has happened to you on a final walkthrough. I'd love to hear all about it. I'll see you guys on the next episode.